Clock on the wall says it's noon. It's showtime, and welcome to the Nooner with me, Dave LaMont. And I've got a wonderful guest standing by. He just popped in, and I'll get to him very, very shortly. Don't have any great pronouncements to get things started here. I always like to do a little check. I did see that Johnny Damon, the old Red Sox, used to walk around the clubhouse with no clothes on, and the former Yankee and I think Tampa and Oakland player just got a Dewey in Windermere, where my in-laws used to live. I know the area fairly well. That's outside Orlando. It's a nice suburb. It's where Shaq and Tiger used to live there. Shaq has a place there. Ken Griffey Jr., a bunch of those guys around Isleworth. I don't know if that's where Damon lives, but dude blew a ton. You know how Bruce Springsteen blew a .02? Switch the numbers around because Johnny D blew a 2.0. That doesn't settle well with law enforcement in the state of Florida or anywhere else. So we'll see what kind of significant punishment that he's going to get. But fortunately, in a way, because sometimes I've started this show by announcing a death. Not doing that today, I'm happy to say. The other item is I keep reading about Drew Brees coming back, and then I keep reading further that he hasn't made a decision yet. I've also read that Drew Brees isn't going to come back to play football. Only he knows for sure, and that announcement, I guess, won't be shared with us today, maybe next week. So that's probably the biggest things going on. We are in the middle of a run with our two winter sports teams in South Florida, and that's why I wanted this guest on. And I'm going to bring him in right now because why am I going to wait? Because only two people look this good in pink, myself and Donovan Campbell from Channel 7. I should have tried to match you, but I cannot keep up with you, satirically speaking, so I don't even try.
Yeah.
Well, no, see.
Yeah, most can. I mean, it's something that I take a pride in, my fashion. So, that's my little thing.
That and your shoes.
Yes.
I have probably the same 10 pairs I've had since I was 30, and you come in Donovan and I worked together at American Heritage School as advisors to the broadcast program, and he comes in with shoes and some damn nice ones, I might add. You've got a couple pairs that if we were the same size, I'd be, trying to steal them, but I'm impressed.
Appreciate it.
Let's start with the Heat. I know we want to get into the Heat, the Panthers, and a few other things, but that's the team that seems to be making most people angry right now, even though they did win last night in a late-night game against Sacramento. What have you seen is different as to why this team is 5 games under 500 as opposed to what happened last year?
I got one player, and when I say this name, everybody's going to get very upset if you're a diehard basketball fan. That's Jay Crowder. I think by not having him, has made the biggest difference in the team right now. He brought toughness. He brought that grittiness. He brought that glue factor to the team. He brought basically what Udonis Haslem used to bring 10 years ago to the Miami Heat. By them not having that young man, Jay Crowder, in the lineup and what he can do on the court and obviously off the court as well, especially when Jimmy was gone with, COVID protocol, that's the biggest thing I think going on with the Miami Heat right now, missing Jay Crowder, in my opinion.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I think we all thought that, well, Jimmy Butler's out, that's the problem. And they did start to win when he came back, but as soon as that ended for a couple of games, and even though he's posting triple-doubles like most people, do an order at Chick-fil-A, it's not enough. I wonder if they thought maybe that Avery Bradley could be that guy?
Too small.
Yeah.
Crowder was a big man. He was imposing. And it goes to say a lot when you're a little taller. And I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, he could be intimidating at times, the way appearance. Avery Bradley doesn't intimidate me by just looking at him. So I think that hurt them a lot. You got to remember when they had James Johnson, another intimidating kind of guy. Those guys mean something to these teams. Haslam was that guy for a long time, Dwayne Wade. So I think we're missing that imposing force, on and off the court. And especially, he was a doggone good defensive player as well.
Yeah, then Bradley was brought in as a defender, but you're right, they'd be defending different people. The other thing is the shooting just isn't as good. I mean, the statistics sometimes are deceiving, but their three-point shooting and their defending of the three-point line way down, and that is a big surprise.
Obviously, Heat fans are going to be upset that, there were many times that the Heat could have pulled the trigger on many trades, but they did not want to give up Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. Now they're not shooting the ball as well. Now people are saying, well, should the Miami Heat have done that? Was it a one-hit wonder? I'm not sure. But you know how fans are. Fair weather. I didn't think that Miami Heat should give up on all that young talent. I don't think Jimmy Butler wanted them to give up on all that young talent because, Bam is going to be a staple. Jimmy's going to be a staple. and everybody else is kind of expendable. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of trigger Miami will pull going down the stretch. You know, Pat Riley, he likes to gamble, and he might make a move here sooner than later.
I wonder what it would be, because you had the chance of James Harden, and that they decided for whatever reason not to do that. Where could they go with this? I mean, we know what they need, but any names that you're hearing or any possibilities? Is this going to be some big nuclear bomb, or is it going to be a series of surgical strikes?
I mean, if they wait a year, they can wait for Oladipo and not give up anything, or they can pull the trigger right now and go after Bradley Beal. I mean, those are the two sexy names you hear a lot about now that Harden's off the table. I mean, myself included, I didn't think James Harden can be that facilitator, but now he goes to the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie tells him, you're the point guard, and this guy is dropping dimes like, wait. So it's like real interesting to see how James Harden kind of changed his game up and not scoring 45 a game, but now he's dishing the ball out 12 to 15 times a game, and they're winning. Just beat the Lakers last night, blew them out in LA. So I think the Nets are going to be a force to be reckoned with. So now I'm kind of thinking, should they have maybe given up some of those toys for Harden? Because you can't lie, James Harden, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler would be a nasty trio going down the stretch here.
Yeah. And Dragic, when he was available, could have relieved Harden, or the two of them could have played together. There's a lot of things that Eric Spoelstra would have been able to do with that group. It was funny because you remember the debate about Harden. A lot of people thought, well, he doesn't fit in. All he'll want to do is dribble, and then shoot and go to the foul line. And he's proving that he just wants to win is what he wanted to do. And he didn't see that happening in Houston. And now he's in a great position to at least make the finals. And based on what we saw the other night or last night when they killed the Lakers, maybe even more.
He proved us all wrong, including myself. I thought his brand of basketball could never win, and he shut me up, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
Yeah, and he's had that big threesome before. I never thought that Oklahoma City should have busted that up. I thought that could have done it. I think they panicked when they lost to the Heat in that one finals, and Harden didn't play well, but he wasn't James Harden then like he is now.
Well, also, you have to remember Miami is the ultimate sixth man. And from what Kendrick Perkins had to say, my man James Harden couldn't stay out of Magic City. That's in Atlanta. He couldn't stay out of King of Diamonds, which is a strip club here. So, I can understand the man just has a penchant for the, as we call it, the ballet.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure Houston might have the strangest zoned big city in the United States. Might have, a couple of clubs like that, like we do, and some other NBA city. And Vegas, apparently, I guess that's another Harden playground.
Correct.
And now he's got New York. He's right there. So
it's a little cold in New York. It's not the same cachet.
That's true.
For instance.
What else could this team use? I mean, I would like to see more Dragic. Even
he's still injured, so I think Dragic gets off the shelf, he'll definitely add another scoring depth. And when the Miami Heat are losing to teams like Golden State the other night, giving up a 15-point lead, I think if Dragic was around, that's some offensive firepower. And he's sneaky quick on defense as well. So I think they're definitely missing Dragic. And I think when he comes back, they'll be fine. I think they're going to make a late push. They will not disappoint. Whether they make a move or not, they will make an 8th or 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, a very weak Eastern Conference to say the least, because Milwaukee's going through it right now, losing to 5 straight.
Yeah, and I mean, Philly looks pretty solid. Embiid is having a tremendous year. Ben Simmons is having the best year of his career so far. But it looks like the Nets are going to be the force. We could be looking at Nets, Lakers, maybe Nets, Utah, if Utah can push through that. But if they can avoid that play-in tournament thing and, get into that 7th spot that you mentioned, then I think that'd be, especially with such a lousy start, that would be respectable. You just don't want to draw the Nets now.
Oh, no. No one wants to draw the Nets right now.
No.
You got to think, the Nets have won 2 games against impressive teams without the services of arguably the best player in the NBA, which is Kevin Durant.
Yeah, certainly the best scorer, natural scorer, maybe Curry. But, yeah, I agree. I'm a huge Durant fan. I never got – what drives – I was thinking about this the other day, and you mentioned Durant. I want to ask you about this. I never got the criticism when he joined Golden State that people thought he had copped out. And then he goes and helps them win titles, and he was brilliant for them and hit some big shots. I remember that one where he just walked down about 40 feet and fired up a 30-footer against Cavaliers that just buried him right in the eyes. And I couldn't understand why people thought he copped out. How did you take that?
took it as you got to do what's the best for yourself. The last time I checked, I would rather live in San Francisco. Actually get that. Durant's a city boy. He's from your neck of the woods. He's from
Baltimore. Yeah.
He's from that, DMV area. It's a lot different living in San Francisco than Oklahoma City. And
yes, it is.
People got to realize people do what's the best for them, not what's the best for fans. And once fans get over that, they'll understand guys are grown men and they make grown men decisions. Just like people at home, you make grown decisions for yourself and your family. That's what he did for himself. And people just need to pick up their big boy pants and, think about that.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard did it. Now, Toronto's terrific. But Toronto versus L.A., he got the title for them. He got them what they were looking for. And when he made the move, people ripped him for it. But it is a different life.
That's his hometown. He didn't ask to go to Toronto. He got traded to Toronto. Once again, the key words in free agent, I'm a free agent. I'm free to do what the hell I want to do, not what fans want me to do.
Yeah, and sometimes fans forget that. And part of it might be a pinch of envy in that stew because people don't always have that kind of freedom in their lives, and they don't get to make the money and all the rest of it. One winter team that is succeeding, and you've kept your eye on the Panthers from time to time when you've had a chance. The thing I notice is it doesn't seem to matter. They're a great team at closing games out for the most part, or making a comeback in that third period to at the very least force an overtime and steal a point from here and there. And that was missing last year, I thought. And this year, so far anyway, they have become the charmed team, one of them anyway, in the NHL.
The fact that the Florida Panthers right now are tied in the Central Division with the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, is super impressive to me. Just last weekend, they took 2 or 3 from the Lightning. Yeah. So they're like they can hang with any team on the ice right now. I know you remember 96, the year of that and whatnot. I haven't seen that yet. I can't wait to actually cover them. A nice playoff run. Last year was kind of Then the year before that, or a couple of years before that, they got ousted in the first round by the Islanders. I think this is some spunk, and I'm really looking forward to that 100%.
I could easily see them and the Lightning going at it deep into the playoffs because first off, they're getting goaltending. They've had good goaltenders. Obviously, Roberto Luongo is a beloved figure here, but they can never find the team around him. Now that it appears they found the team around him, you've got Huberdeau playing as well as anybody in the league. It's kind of fun because at least they're getting some fans in there. It would be totally different. I'd love to see that building full of 20,000, 19,500 in there, which we can't get this year. But I just noticed that they're never out of a game. They don't get blowed out ever. Not this year. It seems like every game they have an opportunity to win or at least steal. And that's all you can ask for.
Well, they certainly got the goaltending between Driedger and Bobrovsky. They have 2 great goaltenders. They can intertwine at any time. I know coming in, a lot of people were hating on Bobrovsky because he had this albatross of a contract and was not playing well, and Driedger was coming in doing his thing. But right now, the Panthers only have 2 losses under their belt, and then they have all this nucleus of these young guys, and they got the perfect mixture with the veterans. I mean, I think Patrick Hornquist coming along with the team now was a great fit. I mean, because Sasha Barkov will be the first one to tell you that, he's a leader, but he's not a vocal leader. Now you bring Patrick Hornquist in, which is very vocal, and that's like a perfect mesh for Sasha's personality and Hornquist's personality. And I think that right there is what's making the Panthers click. And we all know how Coach Q is. That guy and that mustache that just stands else is just the perfect marriage for this entire team. And I think that's why they're having such success right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll keep it going because it would be nice to see a run. It's been too long. You mentioned, last year didn't even feel like they were in the playoffs, and they were sort of technically in, but, come on, we know better. Now they're on their way to getting in there, and it'll be interesting to see if they can make some noise. Congratulations to both of us. I don't know about you, but I haven't read a Deshaun Watson story in at least a week. So we've survived. I don't know how we did it, but we made it through.
I'm glad we did, and I'm so tired of hearing about, him coming here to South Florida. I mean, if it's gonna happen, make it happen. Is he going to the Jets? It's gonna happen. The man is unhappy. You just got rid of, J.J. Watt. You got rid of his best weapon a year ago in Hopkins. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Texas right now, Houston, I should say, but they need to make a move. and just get the man out and stop asking for a king's ransom. I hope the Dolphins don't do all the things that I've been hearing what Houston wants. I think he's great, the fact that he's 25, but Tua didn't have any toys. Deshaun Watson.
Well, I think you can get toys, and that look, if I'm Houston, though, I'm asking for a lot until I just can't get it anymore. I'm going to keep spitting out my demands, and they're going to be heavy demands until it's clear to me that no one's going to crack, and then I'll bring it down a little bit. I would still think he's going to get you most of what you want, because there was just a throw he made in the final game of the season. You probably saw the highlight where he rolls left and he can't find a soul, and suddenly, again, a right-handed quarterback running left on the run, he whips a sidearm, almost a Mahomes-like throw, right into the guy, led him perfectly, like 20 yards down the field. In case you all didn't know much about Deshaun Watson, I got to see a lot of him in college. The talent on that and the poise he shows, and he's such a bright guy, that's why people are being asked for a lot of draft choices for a player of that capability. So I'm actually kind of rooting for him to get out of there and to get what he wants.
Correct.
I just don't know. I was intrigued also that the Dolphin management came out and planted their flag supposedly on Planet Tua. I just wonder how deeply they dug that in there just in case they make a shift in their thinking.
Well, I can say this. If the Dolphins do pull the trigger, the deal that I did not like, Houston wanted 3 first-round picks, and they starter. And I heard Xavier Howard was that defensive starter they were looking for. I think that was just way too much. And if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I don't mess with the defense. If you're going to give Houston 2 first-round picks this year, that's not bad because that 3rd pick is yours anyway. So
right.
All the way good with that. I just don't want them to give up the defensive starter 3 first-round picks because now you're gutting your team and you're gutting your future. Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback at 25. However, he's been bitten by the injury bug. With the Tua situation, I don't think Houston technically Tua Tagovailoa. They would still have to keep Tua in that particular deal. So now you'd have a first-round pick, a 5th overall pick as your backup for Deshaun Watson, and that's going to cause some disgruntled behavior when you could have just get all those toys you have, get him the weapons, get him these Alabama weapons that he seeks. Because if I'm the Miami Dolphins, that 3rd pick, I really don't need a wide receiver that early. You can go and move down, get some more real estate, get a stud wide receiver, get the stud running back. Now he has 2 toys possibly from Alabama or a Travis Etienne. And then you get the linebackers and all these other toys with the picks that you pick up now moving down from 8, from 3 with whomever that needs a quarterback. And now you're really playing with some toys. So if I'm the GM, if I'm Chris Greer, those are the type of things I'm thinking about.
I wonder if I'm the Dolphins, if I haven't already called Cincinnati and said, look, we'll give you 3, you give us 5 and something else, and we'll pick up maybe an extra pick from Cincinnati. They can get the tackle they desperately need to protect Joe Burrow. And the Dolphins can then at 5, they don't need it. If they don't draft a quarterback, which I don't think they're going to do, they're obviously not going to do that. So there goes a couple picks off the board. You could still get something very nice for your team in the 5 position and pick up a bonus pick. Bengals, every mock draft I've read has the Bengals taking the big tackle with the 5 pick. A couple people have put Miami in that position. What about, you mentioned wide receivers. So if they draft Devonta Smith, that's not high on your list of things to do.
Definitely not. Devonta Smith was something special in college. We know that the NFL game is totally different. Yes, he's fast, but he weighs less than I do, and I weigh 175 pounds. I don't know how he will maintain running around with that. I would hope that if he slips to like now 8th, of course, you can grab him there, but I still want you to grab Harris. I just think he's the monster, but I know running backs are not typical, top picks anymore, but man, that dude's a horse. I'm not a big Alabama fan, but what Nick Saban's been able to do with the toys that he's gotten over the years is just ridiculous. All the first round picks he's been able to get in 5 stars. So these guys have proven that they can play at the next level. So Devonta Smith, once again, can prove me wrong, but I just would not pick him that early because, some durability issues, in my opinion, when he gets to the next level. But
somebody will, though.
Oh, somebody will.
Somebody will.
You got to remember the Dolphins picking, frail guys hasn't worked out. I mean, I love Ted Ginn Jr. because I know him personally, but it just didn't work out for them.
No.
When Cam Cameron decided to draft him and his family, I'll never forget that. So we'll see how that works out, and hopefully the Miami Dolphins make all the right decisions. And, we'll be there on draft night for sure, Channel 7, and we'll get an opportunity to see what the Miami Dolphins will do because, to me, they will run the draft in some form or fashion come draft night.
I've read just today, I think it was the Ringers mock draft, that Harris was going to the Dolphins with the 20th pick. So he might – now that's, we know how the mock drafts go. But a lot of thought goes into them. I mean, if you're going to put your name on it. So I think he could still be out there in the teens. And whether somebody decides to go ahead and think he's going to be another Derrick Henry, and who started slowly, but good Lord, now he's almost unstoppable. So that could still happen. What would be the biggest need for this Dolphin team that you would address if you were sitting in that GM seat? Great question, and the way you teed it up. When you think of the Miami Dolphins, no one on their offense scares you. You don't scheme for not one person on their offense. Their defense is very good. So with that being said, offensive weapons, I know fans get caught up. All right, you need an edge rush. You need this, that, and the other. You can get all those toys in the latter rounds, and you can develop what you already have. Open the checkbook. I mean, you want a good edge rusher right now? Miami's a great place. Hey, J.J. Watt, you're out there. Go grab him. You need that edge rusher. Free agency's still live and well. You need to get as many toys as you can. Maybe the Miami Dolphins might do it in free agency. You got guys like Allen Robinson, Juju's out there. There's a lot of guys out there that the Miami Dolphins can grab. Maybe they might want to cast out the big fishing rod and luring a big fish in an Aaron Jones or something like that. Running back's a free agent as well. So I'll be real interested to see what Chris Greer and the Miami Dolphins do with what they have and all what they have to play with. We need offensive weapons here. And when I say we, I'm talking about me covering the team. I'm not sure. I didn't learn French just overnight. So I definitely want to see the Miami Dolphins do certain things that will help this team and help this fan base so we don't have to hear it every day on the Monday quarterback on the radio. Yeah, I've used this expression before, and since it's Facebook, I can curse this a tiny bit. I call them oh shit players.
Right.
When you're the defensive coordinator and you look and you go, oh, shit, I got this guy to deal with. The Dolphins do not have one. They haven't had one for a long time. We thought Parker would be that guy, but he's just been too nicked up too many times. They haven't had a running back like that since Ricky Williams, possibly.
Right.
And, and Marino obviously was that way. He was the player who scared you to death. But, yeah, and you need these guys. I mean, Look at what Tom Brady had in New England and look at what he had now. Then he had a series of people, playmakers, 2 receivers who could make big plays. Gronkowski comes back fresh. Cameron Brate picked his game up or Brady helped him along. And you saw the intensity in which Fournette and Jones ran. And there was a remade team. And but he went to a team that had players who could help him instead of him being the one, He was wise, obviously, whereas New England didn't have Julian Edelman. It's not that kind of guy.
Right.
So you're right. That's been missing. Defensively, they've got those guys. And, you saw Wilkins get better. Excuse me. Obviously, you mentioned the secondary is one of the best in the league, although, Buffalo kind of put the lie to that at the end of the year. What I've been interested in is how quickly people turned on Tua, how they went from tank for Tua to trade away Tua, and it's always that last game, and that last Buffalo game was such a sour affair, and no Fitzpatrick to come in on the big horse to rescue him. That unfortunately for Tua, he's had to live with that, and his reputation has had to live with that for all these months.
I think he'll be quite fine once he has some toys. Now they have a new OC, 2 new OCs, coordinators. I think they will open the playbook. Like anybody, you have to learn from your mistakes. He had no preseason, so the trust factor wasn't there. Chan Gailey had a trust factor with Ryan Fitzpatrick, so the playbook was opened a lot more. So I think every play that Tua Tagovailoa made last season was probably a big play, was a check down, and it was his second option. It wasn't something that Chan actually picked out. I think the wide receivers will have more confidence in him, but he will have the toys he needs to succeed. So I think give him another year. You just drafted him a season ago with the 5th overall pick. Give him a season, and then it doesn't help the way Justin Herbert played, and he was the following pick. And Burrow was playing well until he got hurt. So all those things didn't help them keeping the training wheels on him. But I think we'll see a different Tua Tagovailoa this year if the Deshaun Watson thing does not happen.
Right. Let me shift. I know how much you love baseball. Let me shift a little bit to the Miami Marlins. We're going to actually, spring training is underway. It looks like we're going to eke out some sort of a baseball season, hopefully a full 160, 162. I can never figure out what to expect from the Marlins. Every time I think they're going to be pretty good, they're not. Every time I don't think they're going to be any good, they are. So I'm throwing up my hands. What are your hopes or what do you think that in a competitive division, to say the least, this Marlins team may wind up?
We got to hope they do what they did last year, build off that success and surprise us again. Sometimes it says a lot when a team of, no names, no stars, and I say that with all due respect, play as hard as the Marlins did. And they had probably the most COVID issues last season. So they came together and made things happen. And, I know that Derek just picked up Duvall. I'm not sure if he's, the end all be all. I personally would like to see them snatch up Yasiel Puig. I've said that now for years. I hope brash personality doesn't conflict with, what Don Mattingly has going on in that clubhouse. But you want to get fans in the stands. I always say the more flamboyant Cuban players you can get will help the fan base out here in South Florida. So I don't think Yasiel Puig would hurt. I don't think at this point he would cost that much, considering now started with pitchers and catchers reporting this week, and he still it can't hurt to grab him. But once again, they have a young pitching staff, so they have the arms, and they just got some bullpen help, and I think they're going to surprise some people once again, and that's what I'm hoping.
Well, I had Duvall's Stratomatic card back when I played, and I remember he could kill righties. So he's got power, and defensively, okay. He shows up, but he's not going to win a Gold Glove out there, but he definitely can splash him into the seats there. So I think that was a smart pickup by them. I mean, I think he was with the Reds, so he had a homer-friendly park there. Not the same down here, even when they changed the dimensions a little bit. But you're right. They came off of a season, particularly the way things started, because they were the poster kids for don't do this during a COVID lockdown period when one person or two people screwed up, and then all of a sudden people were writing columns about how baseball has to shut down for the rest of the year because of what happened with the Marlins, and they got out of that. And I'm glad that Don Mattingly got some love in the postseason from people and from writers and all that, because if you didn't have a steady, mature hand in that dugout and in that clubhouse like Mattingly, who doesn't fly off the handle, it's hard to say how that season would have gone. But his maturity and the way he responsibly handled all that, I don't know if that ever got enough praise that it deserved.
I agree with you 100%. And another thing that doesn't get a lot of praise is what the Marlins did over the past few seasons since Derek got there. He said that he had to retool the farm system. And now you got guys coming up, and you're very happy with what the future may hold. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Sixto Sanchez. I'm looking forward to seeing Jazz Chisholm. I'm looking forward to seeing JJ Bleday. So these are guys I'm looking forward to see here in the next upcoming seasons. But right now, if one of those three guys that I just mentioned can step up this season, something can be really special for these Marlins. But like I said, somebody's going to have to step up. Like, the Marlins always, for some reason, has one of these young guys that they develop that come out the woodworks, and then we lose them in a few years.
Right.
Hopefully we can keep those guys around for a lot longer, and the Miggies and the Adrian Gonzalez's and all these guys don't just go away and then flourish somewhere else.
Christian Yelich, that's the one that's really got them beating their heads against the wall. And I don't blame him one bit. And I don't know if anybody thought he was going to end up being that good. But, that's the most recent example of the ultimate one that got away is Yelich. Now, you called him Derek. I thought as a Yankees fan it was Mr. Jeter. I thought that was required of you Yankee fans.
It is, but me being on all these Zoom calls with him and building a rapport over the years, it's either DJ now or
Also, I think it's the first time I've seen you not genuflect when you've used his name, so you've come a long way with this. Yes. I'm impressed.
We've got that relationship now.
Well, listen, you guys brought back LeMahieu. That was the smartest thing the Yankees did in the last
Clutch,
2 years.
clutch. And now that my son knows how to pronounce his name, he loves saying it, and he even mocks me now, DJ LeMahieu. Hilarious. Yeah, we're very, very happy about it.
It's interesting because obviously not last season, but 2019 I did a baseball vacation with a very dear friend, and we took in 2 Yankee games in New York. And LeMahieu was just a monster in that 2019 season. And I couldn't even believe that there was some thought that the Yankees weren't going to bring him back. But they fixed that. They got wise very quickly.
I think they knew what they were doing the entire time. I would love to think so, because there are the Yankees. And I think what people don't realize, I think once a family man settles somewhere and their kids are established, it's kind of tough for you to up and just uproot your family. I tell people that all the time. It would take a lot of money. I say a lot of money for me to up and leave South Florida at this point in my career and all the things that I got going on between Channel 7, American Heritage, my kids being established and their friends here, for me to leave. And I think that goes the same for a lot of these professional athletes. They don't necessarily want to leave. And the Yankees never disrespected him. They were just trying to negotiate a contract that worked best for both sides. He wanted more years. They were willing to give him less years, but more money. And it just worked out. And I'm glad it worked out, because that dude is a stud, and you can put him anywhere in the infield outside of playing catcher, possibly pitching, and he'd be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I was so impressed with him. And it seemed like the 2 times the live games I saw, he must have gotten about 5 hits in the 2 days. I mean, he was so reliable. Yeah. And that's, because you always, unfortunately, as much as he's a likable cat, Stanton is he got hurt in one of the games I went to. Trying to stretch out from first to third. He beat the throw, and then he didn't get up right away, and he pulled something, and he always seems to do that. And, it's unfortunate because he's a good cat.
Listen, I'm as guilty as charged. As a man, you always want to have muscles. But when you have that many muscles, you just can't stay healthy. It's proven now with Giancarlo Stanton. It's proven now with Aaron Judge. So the Yankees have asked them both, chill with the weights.
Mm-hmm.
Young cat coming up, they say, is the next coming of Mike Trout. Jason Dominguez. He beefed up, and they told him, bruh, you see what's going on with our 2 big beefy guys? Slim back down. You're supposedly like the best prospect we have right now in our farm system. We want you to be 100% healthy. Stop with the weights. It goes to say something, but we're all guilty of it. We all are vain in our own right. I'm 46 years old now, and I don't want to have a dad bod. I want to be a father figure. So therefore, I hit the gym as much as I can and try to have my muscles too. So I understand.
Yeah, and late Whitey Herzog years ago said, if they would drink a beer and eat a blasted steak every once in a while, it wouldn't hurt them. And he might have had a point. That was way before we ever had to worry about needles and the cream and the clear and all the other stuff that became so famous with Balco. Last thing I want to talk to you about, just kind of a big legacy in sports seems to be at stake every time Serena Williams goes on the court. And unfortunately, she got her lunch handed to her again at the Australian Open. So it's been a little while. 2017, I think, because the Aussie Open was her last Grand Slam championship. She's had a lot in her life going on since then. At 39, are we looking at sort of a tennis version of a Tiger Woods with the window is about that big for her to win that one more Grand Slam to push her past Margaret Court?
I hope not. I was really rooting for the other night. Sometimes I could be a very sore loser. Once she started losing, I went to bed, got writing on the wall. My wife and my mother-in-law kept saying, yeah, she just ain't got it. And I was like, nah, she's going to pull through. And no, they were right and I was wrong. I hope not. Same with Tiger. I would love for Tiger to get, the 3 Grand Slams. Even if he doesn't break Jack's record, at least tie him.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to see both of them do it. Serena's right on the cusp.
One more, man.
Yeah, so I was really rooting for her to get there. And I think if she had gotten past Naomi, she would be okay. But Naomi has her number since Naomi has come up. I think Serena's only beaten her 1 now out of 4 matches. So it'll be very interesting to see if Serena can pull this one more out, and for her to go out crying, and she kind of sees a little bit of the writing on the wall. And I know she was joking around and said, she trained really, really hard because she wanted to get in that FloJo outfit. Hopefully she puts that training a little bit more, and maybe she might get it at Wimbledon. You know what I mean? And I know she plays.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that might be the one for her. I mean, it's tough to beat Naomi on that hard court. She's pretty good. So maybe Wimbledon might be it. Maybe somebody might need to help her out by getting her nemesis out the way for her in Naomi. And then can handle the rest, because the way she handled Simona Halep, I was kind of shocked. So that just lets me know she can still hang with the young girls.
I bet Halep was equally surprised at that. Well, I'll be curious when that Wimbledon draw comes out to see where the two of them wind up. If they're in the same draw, we got a problem. If they're in opposite draws, we may get a final with the two of them, and then you never know. But Osaka, I'm impressed with her nerves. She just doesn't seem – she seems to be very – nothing's going to get to me. I'm good. And she's at that level now where she knows she's good. And Serena's been there. All the great ones have been there. Tiger was there. Dustin Johnson is there now. They know. They know who they are, and that helps so much.
Something that I thought that was very interesting. Serena took the first 2 sets. Then Naomi started, like you said, eating her lunch. Then all of a sudden, Serena won a point, and she got kind of animated. And the camera flashed back to Naomi, and Naomi was probably in her mind saying, like, okay, check. Put it on like, oh, you want to talk now because you want a point? So that right there, those mind games by the vets don't work anymore with these young cats, because these young cats now know, like, look, I know I can beat you. I've done it before, and I'm younger than you. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to run you around, and I'm going to show you that I'm the bad chick on the block now. So I thought that was very interesting in that match.
Well, eventually somebody will do that to Tom Brady. We just don't know when. Somebody will get him one of these days. But, that's a great point. But, by the way, you okay with him throwing the trophy? Because I was. I thought that the lady who spoke out was just out of her mind.
Growing up a Jets fan and obviously rooting for the Miami Dolphins because I covered them, I still have a disdain for Tom Brady. But the fact that when he threw the trophy and showed that he is actually human by getting lit like a Christmas tree and walk him to wherever he was going after the parade, that showed a pulse. I actually like that. That showed me he's real. He's actually So Tom Brady I used to like hate him like this much. Now it like dropped like that much. So I have no problem with him tossing the trophy. And the fact that they caught it and nothing broke.
Yeah. It was just an underhand, pitch. And he's throwing it to professional receivers. It wasn't like he was tossing it,
To me.
I didn't mind it. And I enjoyed Drunk Tom. It's like maybe this would be a good guy to party with.
Correct.
He gets a couple pops in him, and he could probably tell some great stories, Bill Belichick stories and all sorts of things.
I would love to be that guy. Could you imagine being
good.
A tipsy Tom Brady, LeBron James, and, some of these greats that are in their sport right now, and just hearing some of their stories, be like, whoa. Maybe a drunk Bruce Springsteen and a drunk Jay-Z with those two. Can you all of them?
I'll tell you my one Bruce Springsteen story, and I know you've got a life to lead, so I'm going to let you go here in a second. But years ago, back when Detroit had their old airport, and it was just horrible. I had a dear friend of mine who was coming in from Hawaii, and he and I were going to go to it was near the end of Tiger Stadium. So he was from Detroit. We were going to go to a couple of games at Tiger Stadium when it was closing. So I'm waiting for him. And at that time, I had an Admirals Club membership, American Airlines. This is 12 o'clock on Friday. Springsteen had just restarted with the E Street Band. So he's playing these big stadiums. So he had played the Silver Dome, still going at the time. So I'm going, God, when is now this is way before the era of being able to do everything on a phone. So what's going – all right, let me check. I'm going to go to the Admirals Club and check on my friend's flight because he's coming in. So I walk in. It's noon in the Admirals Club. There was no one in there but a bartender and a guy at the bar nursing a bud, and it was Bruce.
Oh, wow. That's
and awesome. They had played in – it was either the Silverdome or maybe Michigan Stadium. That's how big this tour was. And I didn't say anything because I tend to be bashful in these situations. Yeah. No, I am. It's really funny about that. Who did I not approach? It wasn't that long ago. I tend to let these people go. I have other friends. My friend Paul Castronova, who does a radio show, would have immediately gone up to him and tried to get Bruce to come on his radio show. Immediately. He does that to anybody he sees as famous. And I'm on the other hand, I'm kind of I'll walk it back a little bit. I mean, and I double checked because I did it was when I met Robert Plant, the Led Zeppelin singer in Nashville in the bar in 2019 now. He's drinking in the same hotel bar that we're drinking in. And I did the walk around like, really? And I walked by, I said, son of a bitch, it's him. But I never did go up to him. I don't know why.
There's just certain guys, like, obviously, when you're in this industry like myself and you are, you're not going to get starstruck. But there's certain guys where it's going to happen. And if I have an opportunity, and my list is very short, obviously, Michael Jordan.
Yep. Obviously,
Tiger Woods. I'm going to probably approach those men and probably want a picture just to say I got to meet them. I'm a little bit younger, so I never really got to cover the Michael Jordan era. I've been fortunate enough to actually have conversation with LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and Steph. I've had conversations with these men, which is great. But I never had a chance to meet Jordan. I got a chance to interview Wayne Gretzky. So I've seen and been around some things. So outside of that, Jay-Z would be another one. But certain guys, you just can't be bashful. I mean, you're that guy, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I know. Bruce Springsteen. I know. I let it slide. Well, I was around in the Jordan era when I was working with Sunshine Network as the host of the job that Jason Jackson does. So I saw quite a bit of Michael Jordan, and we all know about his psycho. I call him America's favorite psychopath. After we watched The Last Dance, or by the way, in our house there was no speaking allowed during this documentary. My oldest son and I, the one who's at Texas Tech as a GA, like if my wife wanted to say anything, we'd look at her like, no talking. I remember he played. I think it wasn't even an exhibition game. Doesn't matter. Anyway, he's kicking ass. But at that time, I'd never remember any athlete drawing the noise that he drew when he would come out of the tunnel. No one got that kind of noise. And so he's beating the Heat one day, and he's just doing it with a medium range game. Nothing special. So he hits a jumper, and the place goes, ooh. And my friend Stu and I are sitting at press row, and he goes, come on, he looks at the crowd sort of disgusted, and he says to me, he says, this is BS. He said, why are these people? That's a jump shot. He hadn't done anything. Well, I know Jordan didn't hear him, but I swear to God, within a minute, he steals the ball, breaks into the open court, turns and does a double pump, one of these. And I looked at Stu, and he looked at me, and I go, he didn't hear you, right? It's like almost he knew that wasn't enough. Those jumpers weren't doing it. He had to stick one more in your eye because that's what he did.
MJ.
Yeah, that's why I love that guy. I absolutely love that guy. Watching him and watching that, and the fact that he never took a night off, played his ass off every time. He knew everybody in that building wanted to see him, and he took that very, very seriously. He'll always be the greatest to me. I have nothing against LeBron. But if you saw Jordan, it's hard to not pick him.
Oh, I saw him enough on TV because he broke my heart so many times being a Knicks fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a love-hate for him. I definitely respect his greatness. But, man, there were so many times I wanted to see him lose because my guys, and he crushed us. He talking about somebody eating our lunch. Jesus.
Well, he has maybe the best. I've been going down a Dr. J wormhole lately, so I forgot about some of his in-game dunks on people. I don't mean open court crap. I mean dunking on Hall of Famers. But that one on Ewing, where he runs away, comes back to the baseline, and just throws it down over another Hall of Famer and just looks at him. Man.
Yeah, it hurt. Those used to hurt. You'll remember, that one playoff game where, I know it was fouls, but, we had all those layup opportunities.
Oh, yeah, Charles Smith,
and, we just couldn't get the ball in, and just, I don't know, we're always on the cusp, man. I think we're the one team that always had the Bulls, like, on the rope, and we just couldn't get the knockout punch just on the rope, and it just hurt. But, hey.
What are you going to do?
What you going to do?
All right. Hey, Donovan, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you.
Man, thank you so much. It was an honor and a pleasure.
That's going to do it. I'm going to put this up on YouTube, too, when there's an opportunity. You can always subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. and certainly appreciate everybody watching. I'll be back on Monday with this. And again, for Donovan, I'm Dave LaMont. Have a safe or faith, but it's up to you, weekend, and wear a mask, please. And we'll talk again. Take care.